Hello everyone, this is Chris, and the 1.17 Caves and Cliffs update is under full swing, seeing betas and snapshots almost every single week with something new and something interesting to check out. And because we're still a few months away from the full release of Caves and Cliffs, I'd figured sharing a few new ideas I have had which would be very fitting for the Caves and Cliffs update. And if you happen to see these features inside of future betas and snapshots, then you know where they came from. Unless if more than one person came up with the same idea. But anyways, let's get into it with the first idea. Now, the inventory problem is a serious thing. You see, like, there is very little space with so many different types of items in the game, and they are trying to combat it with the bundles. Now, unfortunately, I don't think the bundles necessarily do what the game needs to do in order to help fix this inventory issue. So what my first idea is it's a little bit of a stretch, but these andesite blocks represents our inventory, the 36 slots inside our inventory, the hotbar and everything. But what if there was a way to expand the inventory by just a little bit? Say if you were to put the bundle, which we will represent as a Totem of Undying, in our offhand slot, then we will get access to 3 separate slots, both on the left side and the right side of your hotbar, to give you that extra little bit of space. And you'll have to sacrifice your offhand slot, which will make it a little bit more balanced. But that idea is a little bit of a stretch, even for me, so how about we draw it back into something more simple and just change the crafting recipe? As of right now, in Java Edition, this is the crafting recipe for the bundles. The rabbit hide, about 6 rabbit hide and 2 string, which in my mind I think is way too expensive. Like, bundles are supposed to be the startup game to make things much easier for when you first log into a world, so I'm thinking the bundle recipe should be at least a little bit easier in my opinion. For one idea for the new bundle recipe is something like this, the leather and the string, and not too many people know about this, or to my knowledge, not too many people know about this, but you can actually craft leather using 4 rabbit hides. So in the end, this recipe would actually be more expensive, but because cows and horses and many other types of mobs that you see so much more often than rabbits spawn in, it would make crafting bundles much more accessible and make it much more easier to use. I've mentioned this idea before, but I think you should have the ability to place dripstone using a dispenser. Unlike scaffolding, where you could place scaffolding all the way up from the very bottom block, like this, dripstone acts a little bit differently. You actually need to be placing it on the block as you're looking at it, because you can see I'm trying to place it on top of it and it is not working. You have to go on top of it to actually place it upwards. So to do this, you'd only be able to place one single dripstone, but still having one single dripstone would be more than enough to actually make different and unique types of traps, because then this would basically act in the form of a spike block without necessarily having a spike block in game. You could still destroy these with pistons and other things like that, but to have just the ability to place at least one type of dripstone from a dispenser would give redstoners and trappers so many more options with these things. So the glow squid is a relatively recent type of addition added inside of the Java snapshots, and if I'm honest, it's very disappointing the way they did it. I mean, they tried doing everything they can with it, with the glowing aspect, adding the glow ink sacs and the glow item frames, but in the end, I can never see myself using those types of things. So my idea is that for just a simple little change, simple little thing, you could be able to get glow ink sacs and craft them into some type of glowing block, similar to the sea lantern, but just different enough. That way, you'd actually have some reason to actually farm up these guys, to actually look for these guys, because any type of block, like giving people more access for more types of building blocks, is always a welcome addition. And at least if glow squids had the ability to craft some type of new block or something, I could see myself at least saying that they're not completely useless. So mountains are getting a brand new look inside this new update, adding in new types of blocks like the powdered snow, adding new types of mobs like the goats, and all this is great and all, but I think the thing that would really top the mountain update is adding a brand new type of structure on top of it. So my idea is to add something like this, something like an abandoned log cabin, not only to, have a new type of structure to look for, but also for a different type of thing. Because one thing I've noticed with a few types of structures in game is that it's trying to teach you about a certain aspect of the game. Well, I think this structure should do something similar to that, to sort of hint your way over to something like that, because what I think this structure should be for is the ability to show you or hint at you as to how to build snow golems, because inside these log cabin chests you could find maybe things like snow, like pumpkins, and even shears to carve up the pumpkins. And also this will just give you the small little hint of like, okay, something must be done with this, and I did not mean to do that, but yes, something must be done with this. And on the outside there should be pumpkin patches everywhere to keep in with the theme of things, and these 2-block high things of snow, which on people who don't know about snow golems, they'd be probably a small bit confused, but for people who, want to learn about them, will be like, oh, what if I place it here? Oh, look at that, I get a snow golem. Yeah, just to give more people the option to learn inside the game would be a very, very nice and handy type of thing. So, yeah, not only for a structure like this, but also for teaching you about these guys. So to our knowledge, the developers aren't looking into changing the existing structures in any way, such as the abandoned mine shafts. They have no looking into changing or doing anything with the existing one, like the abandoned mine shaft. However, one thing I've noticed with the trailer and things is that they're going to be doing something called landmarks, which sort of hints you to a certain cave generations or other things like that below the ground. Well, what if there was another type of landmark on the land which could hint you at things underground for the abandoned mine shafts, such as above wells? We could have sort of existing wells built, maybe something like this, maybe something a little bit different, but yeah, it could hint you, be like, okay, something could be underneath it. Think of like an igloo where you have a 50-50 chance of finding something like this. Yeah, you can have something like this where maybe not every single time there could be something under here, but if you were to find one of these things, you would know there's always going to be a chance of finding something underneath the ground. And they don't just have to look like this. There could be different types of well generations independent of every single biome, which would mean that our old friend, the desert well, would actually finally have at least some type of use. Like, it's a very niche use, but it would at least give the idea that, okay, if I dig underneath here, then that means that there's a chance of finding an abandoned mineshaft. I mean, still, it's not the most grand use in the world, but it would at least give some of these useless structures at least some type of use. And yeah, those are my suggestions for the new Caves and Cliffs ideas. Whether or not these get implemented in some way, I'm not sure, but yeah, keep a lookout, keep an eye out, see if there's any types of ideas like this being added. I'd at least like to see a couple of these, like the glow ink block or like the dripstone things, at least those types of things. But yeah, if we were to see more of these types of suggestions get added into the game, then that'd be big, because the developers, they have already said they are looking for as much feedback as possible, and I guess these videos are sort of the feedback I'm trying to give. But yeah, what do you think of these ideas? Do you like some of these ideas? Do you hate these ideas? Do you have ideas of your own? Whatever you think, let me know down below in the comments. But other than that, that's pretty much all I have for you. So thanks for watching, and I will see you all later.